Good evening and welcome. I'm Ijoma Onyato. Tonight, the Federal Executive Council justifies President's foreign trips, says Nigeria was almost a pariah state under ex-President Jonathan. Minister of Works Babatunde Fashola advocates for increase in mobilization fees for contractors handling mega projects for the federal government. Senate President meets with State Assembly speakers, resolves to ensure passage of the amended constitution. And Taiwan accuses China of deploying surface-to-air missiles on a disputed island in the South China Sea.
On business news tonight, analysts predict banks' non-performing loans may be worsened by upstream risks.
And in sports news, Nigeria Football Federation names Emmanuel Amuneke as the new coach of the country's under-20 team, the Flying Eagles.
We begin tonight with news just in that Admiral Maduk, husband of the former Minister of Petroleum Resources, has been picked up by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. The FCC says he was quizzed for several hours for allegedly laundering over $600,000 through his personal accounts. Although he's been released on administrative bail, the EFCC says he's to return tomorrow for more questioning. Last year, Mrs. Alison Maduk was invited for questioning by the Metropolitan Police to answer questions bordering on alleged money laundering. Now, for those who have criticized the president for his frequent foreign trips, the Federal Executive Council, after over 3 hours of deliberation, strongly defended him, insisting they are necessary. The Minister of Information and some of his colleagues told journalists in a meeting that Nigeria was almost in a pariah state when the president took over, and so there's a need to improve the nation's image abroad. Our State House correspondent Chukwu Maunekuse reports.
President Buhari and the Federal Executive Council converge on the council chambers. Criticisms have trailed the president's frequent trips abroad, and the Minister of Foreign Affairs comes with a memo to explain to Council the gains from such trips, as enumerated by the Minister of Environment, whose ministry has also been involved in some of the trips.
The Honourable Minister for Foreign Affairs gave a brief of the four of the trips that Mr. President had made towards the end of last year, starting with that happened in November, between the 22nd and 24th of November in Tehran. This was to do with the third gas exporting countries forum. And this, of course, as you will expect, is very important to us. The third trip, I've just briefed on that, but the President led the country to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change and made significant interventions there that really called for investments for climate change in the country.
State House correspondents wondered why they sat for several hours only to discuss the president's foreign trips, and this is the Minister of Information's reaction in answer to one of the questions.
The personal presence of Mr. President in many of these fora is so important and so crucial, because before now we're almost a pariah state. And the two things that have been driving investment away from the country have simply been terrorism and corruption. And one thing that nobody can fault this president on is his determination and sense of purpose in fighting these twin evils. So Mr. President's presence in many of these fora is very crucial, even to the development of the economy back at home.
We are challenged by the fact that we're still coming in late and that we have a budget that we're awaiting, that we are defending. And I think once that happens, there will be obviously more news and more happening in the Federal Executive Council. So I think, it's also would be helpful for media to help us to just get these messages across.
Foreign trips by Nigerian leaders remain one factor that has played out in every administration since the return to democracy, and critics have never spared Nigerian leaders who frequently engage in it. Perhaps the criticisms will die down when Nigerians begin to see concrete results as the government tries to explain. Chukwuma Onwekusi, Channels Television News.
The Senate President, Dr. Bukola Saraki, has urged the State Houses of Assembly to prepare to expedite action on the passage of the amendment to the 1999 Constitution. At a meeting with a conference of speakers of the state legislatures, Dr. Saraki observed that the 7th Assembly has already done a lot of work, which has made the new exercise easier.
We believe that there are great amendments proposed in this exercise, which, if implemented, would go a long way to make our country greater. Some of them are the financial autonomy for state assemblies, devolution of powers, and the many other great proposed amendments. We want to assure you that we are going to work with you to accomplish the objective of this noble exercise.
In the 7th National Assembly, I believe that we have done our part. Unfortunately, politics and then some other issues got the better of it. I think this time around, as I said when I inaugurated the committee in the Senate, a lot of good work has already been done in the 7th National Assembly. We want to ensure that we review it and have the document ready so it can go to the states. My message to you is that when it gets to the states, please as well be quick to treat it. And in the past too, you have been, and I hope this time around you will be faster, because there are many things there that I'm sure you want. And the things that are there in the 7th National Assembly, I'm pretty sure that in the 8th National Assembly, I'm sure it will stay intact in the document, and so that you can also ensure that you can quickly review it and have it sent to us.
The House of Representatives is asking its committees on pension, finance and capital market to look at the viability of investing over 5 trillion naira pension funds into infrastructure development in the country. In a motion sponsored by a member representing Kaba Federal Constituency, Mr. Tajuddin Yusuf, the lawmakers lamented the growing decay in infrastructure across the country. They agreed that the consequences of taking foreign loans and facilities to address infrastructure demands will, in the long run, have a damaging impact on the economy.
In over 1 decade of implementation of the Pension Reform Act, the National Pension Commission has accumulated about 5 trillion, which is mainly in the vault of commercial banks, as free funds characterized by low investment return and sharp practices by various pension fund administrators. The huge infrastructural deficit in all sectors of Nigerian economy cannot be achieved through budgetary allocations alone. Thus, if no concrete and proactive investment strategy are put in place to comprehensively address these infrastructural challenges, the nation might be thrown into deeper economic crisis. The House hereby resolved that 1, urge the federal government to consider investing part of the 5 trillion fund into providing necessary infrastructural facilities in the key sector of the economy. 2, also urge the relevant ministries, departments, and agencies to study the template of countries in Europe, Asia, and America, which invest pension funds in meeting their infrastructural challenges needs, so as to adopt same to suit the nation needs. 3,
order.
Mandate the Committee
Linda,
on
go to your
Pension,
seat.
Finance, and Capital Market Administration to interface with the National Pension Commission and other stakeholders on the viability of investing pension funds into infrastructure facilities.
As part of efforts to improve national security, the federal government is planning to install a ground satellite station. The Minister of Science and Technology, Dr. Ogbonnaya Onu, made this disclosure in an interview with our correspondent, Benga Ashiru. Dr. Onu explains that the orbit surveillance device, which would be installed by the Chinese government, will assist in early detection of explosives and crime prevention.
We are making contributions in the area of securing the nation, and those contributions will continue until the nation is secure.
You said one of your plans in the recent trips you embarked on was to facilitate the installation of a ground satellite. Could you shed more light on this?
I'm very happy to inform our fellow Nigerians that China has agreed to build a ground receiving satellite for us here in Nigeria. And this satellite will be very helpful to us because using it, we can now receive data from Chinese satellites. And this data will be used for educational purposes in our universities and polytechnics. It will also be used for research in our research institutes, and many of our major corporate bodies and organizations will also require this data. For planning purposes, you need information. So this ground receiving station will be very, very very useful to us. And some of this data are data that we now pay for to get from outside sources. So when we have this ground receiving station and we get this data, then it will also reduce our expenditure and help us to rebuild our economy.
And for the full interview, do watch Question Time on Thursday at 4:30 p.m. on DSTV channel 254, and again on Tuesday at 18:30 hours on UK Sky channel 575. Now in part 2, after the break, trial of former PDP chairman Haliru Bello resumes at the Federal High Court Abuja. That's in a moment. Do join us again.